I graduated from Auburn University in 1974, and I had first decided to go into pharmacy, but then I changed my major into education. I stopped teaching for quite a few years, and then I went back into teaching when I moved to Mobile, Alabama. And then from there I moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and then I've been in teaching. This is my 27th year, and I love it. I love it. I had some interesting jobs. It gave me an opportunity to see what was out in the real world besides a classroom. But after a while I realized I actually had lost a son, and my sister told me that, you know, I bet teaching would be good for you. And so I decided to go back in, and it's really helped me. There have been so many instances. Once someone had written on the desk, and they loved to tell on each other, and one little girl came up and told me this student had written on the desk, and I gave him a paper towel to get the writing off the desk, and he was just dragging it across, and I told him, I said, you need to put some elbow grease to it. And he looked at me, and he took his elbow and started rubbing the paper towel with his elbow. But it's just these little moments that you love, because a lot of the kids, I guess, the time I grew up and where they are, it's such a different time, and some of the sayings they're not used to, but they are always so much fun, such a pleasure. You know, each day it seems like you always come in contact with a child that makes your day. I had been given the chore of raising this group of kids' CRCT scores. They were really low, and these were 7th graders, and I was teaching them math. And so I worked with them. In fact, at that time, I was allowed to open my classroom on Saturdays. I would have usually 8 or 10 kids to come in, and we would just work on Saturdays, and I'd order pizza for them, and it was a wonderful experience. But this one group, there was a little boy in there, and as we would go through the year, I would constantly remind them, we need to know this now, because, you know, we get the test in April. But I was talking to them, and I said, guys, now y'all need to know this, so when April comes, and one of the little boys raised his hand, and he said, Miss Jones, who's April? So it was so cute. But believe it or not, the entire class achieved what they needed to achieve, and it was a wonderful year and experience. I want them to remember me as someone who taught them the value of education. But my mother and father, it was 6 kids in the family, but because they didn't get their education, they always wanted us to. So they would always stress the importance of education. My mother always said, you can't take away your education once you get it. So that instilled in me to always tell my kids at the beginning of school that what you're going to learn is your education. And what you learn will never be taken away from you. And you get a degree in education, and it's there. You can never lose it. So I think teaching my kids the value of education, not just the monetary means that it will give them, but just the self-fulfillment that I did achieve what I wanted to achieve, and to find a path that makes them happy, that it's not just for the money, but it's going to guide them into a career that they're going to be happy with. But I think just sharing with them these things, it makes me more open to them, that they can relate and that they can remember me as not just a strict teacher who just taught them math and I hope that they were successful with, but someone who really cared and was open to share my life with them so they could understand me better. You know, I do want to thank the system for allowing me to be Teacher of the Year, and I joked with them. I said, I think y'all thought on the ballot it said vote for the oldest Teacher of the Year, but I feel privileged, you know, because as I mentioned, there are too many good teachers here who deserve this position, and I just am thankful for it, very thankful. I love working here, and I thank you all for everything you've done for me.